We got to travel a couple different places. We went on a cruise together. There you go, the Founders Club.
It's official, man.
Yeah, the COVID one. All right, so we went to the Bahamas, Caribbeans, actually, and enjoy a good time over there. We went to Hong Kong. Anyway, Steve is a great guy. He's always wanting to help people build their business, having more success. He's one who definitely mastered communication skills. He built a pretty large team in RX and with his previous company. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to pick his brain. We want to get deep into his brain, trying to figure out what's going on in his mind as he builds a business. He's got a lot of things to share with us. Many of you would love to earn the kind of money he earns, and so we're going to see if we can get some tricks, tips, anything to help us build our business. So, Steve, thanks. Welcome to the webinar tonight.
All right. Well, thank you, Stefan. You always do such a great job training everybody and all the people that are on there. I'm putting my glasses on. I don't really wear these, but I bought them, so it's easier to read now.
Yeah, you look smart. You look smarter, you know.
Wow, you know, that's always an improvement for me. You know, so my attitude usually is I like to have a good time. I like to have fun. I'm not too, you know, stuffy or whatever. And so if you can handle being a little loose, then you're probably going to get along well with me. Yeah, so thanks for having me out here, Stefan.
All right. Well, Steve, let's start with this. What was your career? I'd love to learn a little bit about your background and how you came about network marketing, and then we'll dive into more of the success stuff and all of this. But in your beginnings, like before you start in MLM, what was your career? What were you doing? I know you've got your slides here, so maybe you can scroll down and show some pictures so people can see and follow along. But
I'll just go through this. What the heck, you know, and bear with me, everybody. But that's myself, Steve, and then Myrna in the background here. You can see some photos from me back in the Army. So I'm going to go through this, and I just kind of made this document. You know, I guess I was destined to be in the military, even though I never thought I was going to be. Matter of fact, I said I'm never joining that. But as a kid, you know, we were always running around playing soldiers. So there was me in like Santa Barbara, 1975. All dressed up, ready to be in the 82nd Airborne. That's an Army unit, and it still exists in existence today. But anyways, so this is just kind of a marketing piece, and you know, like my transition to all of this is just like everybody. Everybody's like in a situation where, you know, gosh, there's a lot going on in their lives, but I've done a lot over the years. You know, basically to try to earn income you know, make a living, from working in the Army to corporate to coaching high school and small college football to going to all kinds of seminars. Even when I was in the military, even in college, I used to attend seminars. I'd watch the infomercials, man, and they would suck me in. And I didn't have that. I would spend my book money on whatever, on some kind of infomercial. And, you know, I was always going to seminars and stuff like that. So that's kind of like where I started. But before network marketing, I was basically, you know, an Army officer. You know, I started at Fort Hood, and I guess I can kind of go through this. I'll run through this. But, you know, my advice to you is a lot of people will try to tell you what to do, but most of them haven't ever done what you're trying to do. So just because someone signed up in a network marketing company once, they tell you that don't do it. But unless they're successful at something, I wouldn't take their advice. If you want to learn how to get in shape, don't ask someone who's out of shape. Ask someone who's actually done it. So, you know, that's usually you get bad advice from a lot of people. What do you think of this? And so they'll ask someone, and they're like, oh, I don't know. So I think I was able to avoid that. But, you know, let me back up real quick.
Were you like that? Were you like that while you were in the military? Like, were you maybe reading books, or how did you develop that mindset?
I mean, I remember when I first went to my officer basic course, which means you become so I did ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, which 75% of the officers in the U.S. Army go through ROTC. It means you go to regular college and, you know, you do all that. But I'll cover that here in a second, and I'll tell you about what I was doing But this will help you more in my background, just so you guys know that, once I made that decision to do network marketing, a lot of things changed. And since 2003, I've averaged, well over $5,000 a week, every week. I mean, automatic, guys, for years. But I worked myself to get to that spot. And really my background was I grew up in sports. You probably can't see me, but this is the University of Illinois football program. I'm there. I was a high school kid. My dad ran the football program there, worked for the head coach. And I grew up in Division I in the U.S. That's like the top level college. My dad was a football coach, wrestling coach, and then became an athletic director at different universities. So we moved around a lot. And so, when you're in the action on these games, it's pretty cool. Hold on one second.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right.
And didn't you want to make a career out of football, or?
Sure, absolutely. So, you grow up in that. It's like indoctrination. So, you just are. I was, some people, a lot of people don't go to work with their parents because, what would they do at like corporate headquarters or something? So my dad worked at these different schools, and so I would hang out at these universities. We didn't have daycare in the summer. Like when school was out, I would go run around the football stadiums and run around, hang out with the equipment managers. And so when I was a kid, I was born in Santa Barbara. We lived there with UC Santa Barbara. Actually used to be a pretty big time football program in the 60s and 70s. I was born in 70. So we lived there till I was 7, moved to the University of Oregon, Eugene, Oregon, 4 years. And we were Ducks, and that was pretty cool. And then I left there when I was like 12. We moved to El Paso, Texas, which was like moving from are you kidding, from like the forest to the moon. And now I live with all these I didn't know at the time, Mexican-American, it was like 90% Mexican-American. Here I am, a blonde-headed, towhead, it was crazy. And but I got to learn about that. I lived there for 5 years. My dad worked there for a couple of years, but we ended up moving to Illinois, where I went to high school in Champaign, Illinois. And, we were in a big-time football program there, went to the Rose Bowl, did all those types of things that people watch on TV. There's me right there with my big old hair back in the day at the Rose Bowl. This is like 1984. There's me playing. Then I was a high school quarterback. I started 3 years in high school, and I thought I really wanted to play football, but that kind of ended after high school. I went to a couple of junior colleges and figured out I wasn't going to become a pro. So I didn't know what to do. I was kind of lost, I didn't know. I didn't have a team, but I was continuing in sports. And I was kind of at a crossroads. My brother had been in the military, even went to West Point and all that. And then I was like, I don't know, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go to school in Santa Barbara on the beach. So I said I'm never joining the Army, but my brother, I was kind of lost. And so I went over to this ROTC office, and it was kind of more of a laid-back approach. And I went to this basic training, and wasn't going to join for sure, but I went to basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky, went through this thing, hated it. And then I graduated. When I got out of that, and then they said, well, we'll give you a scholarship. I was like, no way, I'm not committing to this military thing. There's no way, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be like a football coach. I'm not going to join the Army. Are you crazy? So, but then they said, well, be a part of our program. So I did it, and I joined this, they had this team I was a part of, and we did all this physical activity. And then I kind of got around the guys and got around everybody, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Okay, they give me a scholarship, and so then I was able to get a scholarship. And when I graduated, UCSB, I became a second lieutenant. Now, you asked me what was I doing? Well, when I was doing this, I was listening to Tony Robbins stuff.
While in the military, or?
Oh, even in college.
Oh, yeah?
I was investing in mutual funds. Of course, I sold them all, but I was doing that kind of stuff. And okay. I was always trying to think about how to make myself better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I really didn't see myself as an entrepreneur. I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, okay, I got to make money. Real estate's got to be the way to go. But my first tour went to Korea. So I went to Korea, and this is a North Korean soldier. I've been on this tour. Everyone, you guys could even go on this tour, but it's kind of creepy when you go up there by North Korea. But I was running around with the tank units. I was tank platoon leader, second in command. Then I was second in command of a tank company, which is about 70 soldiers, 14 tanks, about 25 vehicles, and a lot of stress and nightmares and all these other things you got to deal with. But in charge of young people at an early age, life and, we weren't in war, but we were always ready to go. We were always, all our tanks were loaded, and ready to move out of the gate and take on the North Koreans at a moment's notice. I mean, that's basically the way we lived for a whole year over there. And then I came back to Texas, and this is me in Korea, a tour. I mean, excuse me, a North Korean tunnel that they had, like, they made it into a tour. But this guy was in my unit. He was just one of my sergeants, and he ended up introducing me to my wife, which is pretty crazy. And so then I went back to Texas. I met my wife after, but this guy here in this picture, me, was getting pitched by people. At this time, was it like 1997, 98? My friends were trying to get me to join Excel Communications. I was like, what is that? I got tricked into the Amway meeting. We're going to a financial seminar. Next thing it's like, woo, Amway train. I was like, what is this? What's Amway, Amtrak? What are we talking about? So I was not really I thought network marketing was real weird. The way that they would trick you into it, and then people were begging me to change my electric service to ACN. I didn't even know what that was, but I remember hearing those things, ACN and Excel, and I was like, what is all this? And I was like, forget it. I'm going to do real estate, and then I stayed in the Army a little bit longer than normal. And so I was bored. I was making PowerPoints for generals. I'm like, this is not what you do in the Army. I'm not joining, making slides and briefings. And so I tried out for the Army Special Forces.
Okay.
On my 30th birthday, because I met these Green Beret guys. I was like, these guys are cool. I gotta go do this. Because I was really going to get out of the Army. And I was like, and when you go to one of these trainings, it's not the idea there that you should want to have the attitude that you may, this is your last ditch to stay in the Army. I'm going to either go this or I'm getting out. And, I was at this training for a few weeks, and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Forget. I just walked up to the guy, and they really want the officers to stay in this training. And it wasn't too physically tough, but I wasn't doing great on their land navigation. I wasn't really feeling it. I knew that this was going to be 2 more years of training, and then 5 more years of being committed. And I was with a baby on the way, I was like, you know what, screw this. Excuse my language, but I'm not doing it. And I left.
No family life.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm going to do what I was going to do. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to make money somehow and get out, and I'm going to become wealthy or something. That's what basically I was thinking. And so on September 1st, 2000, I was actually officially out of the Army. And I didn't know what to do, though. I had a lot of options. I know you were going to ask me a bunch of questions, but I'm kind of just rolling through this.
No, but that's fine. I mean, so you was out of the Army, and then you looked for a job at that time, or you were investing?
That would be the responsible thing to do. I'm not doing that. Forget it. I'm not looking for a job. Jobs. I would look at corporate jobs, and you got to realize, I grew up in college football. So the stuff that people would watch on TV, my attitude was that was cool, that was elite. If you had some job in corporate America, to me, that's so lame to me. That's what I was thinking in my mind. Army was cool enough because it was something different, but I didn't want to do a career in the Army. I wanted to do something in my own mind that was elite. That may be arrogant, that may be stupid, whatever, but that's the way I was thinking. And I was like, you know what, now I was actually telling myself, okay, you did the military, you served your country, you did those things. Now it's time to go become a millionaire. How are you going to do it? I had no idea. I just knew a job wasn't really the answer. And I read, when you get out, they had all these different things that were coming at you, stay in the military, no way, I'm not doing that. Get a job in corporate America, I don't want to do that. But I still went to the interview things. They would have recruited us a lot because they wanted our leadership experience, because we have a lot of leadership experience. At one point I was in charge of over 300 soldiers, and 150 vehicles. That's a lot of and you're in charge of not everything about their life. They get in a fight down at the bar, that's your problem. They get in a wreck in your truck and kill somebody, you could be relieved of command. So it's not they go off and, it's a way different situation, and so you just see so many different things with people's lives, families. I was doing investigations, sexual harassment investigations. Unbelievable. You wouldn't even think that that's what you're doing in the military. That's the life of an officer. A lot of different things coming at you all at once, and so it grows you up really fast. And so then I was corporate America, that's so lame, I don't want to do that. And then government contractor, no thanks, I don't want to be around the military anymore. And then I even put in for the CIA. My friends were in the FBI, we're getting FBI, going to the FBI Academy. I was that sounds kind of cool, but I don't know, really? And so, I really didn't have a good plan. I was looking at franchises, but they were like 85 grand to get a Subway at the time. I'm like, I don't have 85 grand.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I'll go coach football. But to be a teacher, you got to go get like a teacher degree. I was like, forget it. I was like, I'll go 2 more years of school just to make like less money than a private in the Army makes. Forget it.
It's like every direction you look into, there's like, there's always...
not for me. And so I was like, corporate America. I went to their interviews. I didn't even know what sales was. Like, you're applying for a sales position. I'm like, what is that? So obviously I didn't get those. And then I looked at all this stuff, and it was like August of 2000. I had like 30 days of paid leave, so I was just getting paid by the military. And I was like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. He said, own your own business. I didn't know what that was. I go, you know what? I'm just going to go coach football at this small college. It's right outside. I can just live here outside of Fort Hood, and I'll coach football. And so this is me right here on this football staff. This is now this team now is like usually number 1 or 2 for small colleges in all of Division III football. I coached with them, and Coach Fred.
Was that paying well?
What's that?
Was that paying well?
Paying nothing. I didn't. It was free. I was just getting like experience, whatever. And my wife wasn't impressed. Like, we had all these, like, all of a sudden we didn't have any income. I had sold some real estate, so I had some money set aside, but not really that great. And so I'm doing all these things, but this goes through like, I was just trying to go back through, but like I used to do all that. I was going through Tony Robbins seminars, like I mentioned, not just reading, but I went to his seminars. I walked on coals. This is while I was in the Army. So on the weekend, I'd go do that. People were like, what the heck are you doing? Oh, don't worry about it. I don't even tell my friends because they didn't understand it. I was like, forget them. You're going to still be like doing whatever. I'm not going to be doing that. And so I made the decision really that I wanted to be a millionaire. I tried to get lucky in the stock market during these times. I lost like, over 10 grand in stock tips. Stock tips are for losers, just so you know. Hey, you should buy this stock tip, like this stock. That's the first sign that you're going to lose money if you do that. But I did all that. I made some money from real estate. And the real thing is I made that decision to get out when everything wasn't safe to do so. In other words, you're pregnant, you got great insurance from the military, you don't even pay for it, but you're going to get out because it's time to get out. And so I read that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which he said, you need to have your own business. And I was like, and the wealthy didn't have jobs. I'm like, sweet, that sounds good to me, but I didn't have a vehicle. So what did I do? I watched Oprah Winfrey, and she had somebody on there. This is when dial-up internet was like, doo. Remember those days? I mean, that's what it was, right? There was no online anything, right? And so I went down and got Opportunity magazines, and I read them all, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do with all these things, and I can't buy a big franchise. And then Oprah Winfrey had a show and said, you should start a gift basket. And I was like, my wife is like pretty crafty. I mean, I could probably I'm so used to calling people in the military and having to get colonels to do stuff, and I'm a captain, like I have to get them to like obey, so I was used to making phone calls, and I was like, well, I guess I could just do it. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. And so, but this thing came with like scripts. Like, I bought this franchise for $3,500 for gift baskets. She had like a step-by-step manual. She even had like scripts on how to call realtors. And so I just called them, and I was like reading it. And then I was like, I'm like, yeah, why don't you bring them by? I'm like, really? I was like, okay, cool. And so I started selling gift baskets. Can you imagine? Meanwhile, my parents were like, what are you doing? You should be getting, and I'm 30, right? You go to the Army and you're doing gift baskets. And then I bought vending machines. Oh my gosh, what a waste of money. So $3,500 on franchise. I made 25 grand, but I spent 3,500 on this, which was really like 6,500 because I had to buy inventory. 5 grand on vending machines. I mean, my wife. The vending machines didn't come for 2 months, by the way. Meanwhile, I'm making no money. When they do come, they are like broken, and like I can barely put them together myself. And then now I'm going around chasing quarters in my crappy car that I was driving. And at this point, I'm like, man, I got to get it. Like, the football season's ending. I'm like, man, I got to get serious. I got to do something. And I had that sinking feeling. And then all of a sudden the CIA called me, and they started interviewing me on the phone. I was like, oh, I forgot that I even put in an application for the CIA. And so next thing, I found myself at the CIA briefing in Dallas, like some hotel I went to. And I was looking around. I was like, you know what? They kept talking about having millions of dollars to pay off assets and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I think I want millions of dollars. I don't think I'll be a good fit for your program. So I decided not to do it. And And it's crazy because a year later the whole world changed, right, from like 9/11. But I mean, at this point, I'm like totally out of the military. I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm good. I got the T-shirt. I did all that. And so looked like corporate America was my only choice. So now I'm going to interviews. And when I ran into, this is how it all started, guys. So the long story short, how did I get into network marketing for real? Is I was renting a video, like wasting my time watching VHS tapes to try to like figure out, like numb the pain of me, what am I going to do with my life? And so I was watching some VHS tape. I took it back to the video store, and I saw the book Multiple Streams of Income. And I remember in Rich Dad Poor Dad, he had recommended like a book by Robert Allen. I was like, oh, that's that real estate guy. Let me grab that, Multiple Streams of Income. That sounds awesome. That's perfect for me. And I read every chapter, and I read it on the thing. I was like, this is incredible. I mean, the book is such it's a very good lead magnet for a lot of different things. But he had all these different streams of income. One of them was network marketing. I skipped the chapter on it because that was like that Amway thing that guy tried to convince me into. I opted into the website. Yeah, totally. And I opted into I'm doing real estate and stocks, man. I'm not doing the freaking network marketing. Are you crazy? So that's what I was thinking to myself, right? Because if some idiot had shown me, and he wasn't an idiot, nice guy actually, but like the way he showed me it was kind of idiotic, tricking me into meetings. So I didn't have respect for it. But Robert Allen, who I saw as an authority to finance, I didn't know any about it. I thought I saw him as an authority. And I was like, man, if he is doing this, so then I went to his website. He said, there's a simplest, fastest way, one of the best ways I've ever seen to earn income. And he had a number that you called. And then I started getting called by people in his office that actually were in USANA. That's the company we were in. I mean, whatever. We were both in that. Well, it doesn't matter. So I was like, what is this? So he did this 30-minute call, and he talked about, the economy. He talked about like owning your own business. He talked about, all of these things about wealth building and all of these things on this call. And at the end, he's like, and then the health and wellness. He went into all of these things, and at the end, it was like a pitch for USANA right at the end. And I was like, this is bad to the bone. I'm doing it. I didn't even know I couldn't even spell it. I didn't even know what it was. I just said, I'm in, right? And they called me. I was like, yeah, what do I have to do to get it? And so they tried to sell me into some real estate coaching. I don't want that. I want to do that USANA thing. I don't need any more coaching. I need to start making money. And so I signed up for like $50, which was like nothing. Like that.
And you made a fortune instantly, right?
I didn't even get any products. Like I was like, because it was like $700, but I had spent so much money on all this other garbage, that I was like, man, $700, I can do it. But it's like, that's the groceries and whatever else, right? And so I'm like, man, I don't know. And so right around this, so then it started getting into Christmas. Like I'm doing Christmas, and like, family members are buying gift baskets in sympathy for me, and it's unbelievable. And so, right? And so it's like January. Now I put in for jobs. I've actually gone interviews, and now I'm going to go work for Lennar Homes. I was going to go work for them and like run a construction site, basically like a subdivision that they were building. And because I was an Army officer, I would be in charge of it and getting everyone to do their jobs. And I was like, man, I didn't have to move to Houston. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Houston, but I didn't want to move to Houston. Just letting you know. And so I was like, forget it. I was like, man. And then I forgot that I put an application in for Dell because my friend worked there. Dell calls me the week I'm about to move to Houston. They're like, hey, we want you to come interview tomorrow. I was like, okay. So I just drove down. That was an hour from where I was living. And I was like, okay. I went down there, interviewed. They really needed someone. I don't even know how to interview very well. And they hired me. And I was like, wow, okay. And then I was going to get a sign-on bonus. So I took my sign-on bonus and actually just think about like basically getting the elite pack, right? That's what I did. I got the signing bonus, which thank you, they took half of it out in taxes. And instead of buying a crib for the baby, I signed up in network marketing for real. That was February 2nd, 2001. At the time, I'm making a salary of Dell like $55,000. Again, we're in Austin, Texas. It's not like the highest, expense place. So 55 grand. Less than I was making in the Army to take home, by the way, which was kind of weird. And so then my wife's not working. We're about to have a baby, but now I saved the day because I've got Dell insurance, so that was cool. So I had Dell insurance to have the baby. Instead of buying a crib, I bought into network marketing, and then I hid it in the closet. And you
hid it?
What's that?
You said you were hiding the business to your wife, or what?
Oh, are you kidding? Of course. he's gonna shoot me if I did another thing, whatever, right? So I didn't want to hear about it, right? So now I'm commuting to Dell. I work evenings, which is like, go to work, leave at my house at 2:30. No, I had to leave my house at like 2 to 2:30 to drive an hour down to Austin in my little metro. I had a Geo Metro, it's a piece of garbage, and they don't make those anymore. So if you're trying to figure out what kind of car it is, they don't even make it because that's so bad.
I remember those.
Yeah, you don't want to. And so, I was doing that, and then I was, not really. I was kind of excited. I was watching all the videos, and I was excited, but I really didn't know what to do. And I signed up my friend into. So this is I'm kind of jumping forward on some of these things, but this is what I basically made after about 2 months in USANA. $38.
I don't see it very well. How much is that?
That's $38.
$38 after 2 months?
Yeah, and that was because my upline put someone in my group. It had nothing to do with me. Well, I actually signed somebody up, but my first presentation was basically, dude, come here, man, watch this, and we put a tape in, and we watched it. I was like, isn't it cool? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, I'm doing this. He's like, I am too. That's basically how we talked, okay? And so he's like, I'm in. I was like, man, I don't know how much it even is. Like, it's like, I don't know, it's like $600. Like, it didn't even matter. He signed up, and so I had to sign up right away. And then I had a couple others, and but then we were like, you can use the leads and do all these things. I'm like, where are the leads? And no one had any, and so we didn't have any prospects. And so I would get some leads from my upline a little bit, but not much,
So you didn't approach all the family and everyone?
I mean, I wasn't even admitting I was in this, right? So not to them. Like, they'd already seen me do all these other things, all right?
Yeah.
So they're like, what are you doing now? Chasing more rainbows? I didn't want to hear about it. Like, I knew I was on the right path, but I don't need people, like, shooting holes in me, right?
Yeah.
I don't really care, but I do care, but I'm not going to let you know I care, And so, but really, I mean, so there I started working. Okay, so I started a little bit. The best thing I did, and I recommend this, like, if you take anything from, you have to go to the convention. If you don't go to the company's convention, no matter how big or small it is, whatever, you got to go to it. You got to go to Vegas this year because you're going to learn stuff. You're going to see things that can set you off for the rest of your life. And that's what the best thing I did is I was kind of crippling along, making a little $100 here, $200 there. But still, those were cool. When I got an extra $100, I think a lot of people are pretty arrogant on their expectations of their efforts. They think, well, I got started, and they're really doing a little bit, and then why am I not making $1,000 yet? Because you haven't earned it yet, knucklehead. I mean, basically, you haven't done what it takes to do that. And I hadn't either, right? I had done pretty much the equivalent of what I was earning. But it was cool to make $100. When I got an extra $100, I was like, this is awesome. And so we got paid.
So what would you say people do? Like, they feel they work hard, or they feel they've been in the business for a long time, but they haven't made more, and you say they haven't worked for it, they haven't earned it. So what are they doing?
They haven't solved that thing that's causing them not to do it. Like, in other words, not to get it. Doesn't mean you haven't tried, but like what I figured out, and I figured this out in the military, my attitude is we're going to make it happen no matter what. I don't give a crap. We're doing this. Okay? We don't quit. We don't fail. You don't go, well, you know what, we're going to try to be over there and we're going to try to, we're going to try to be there. Like, if Stefan, if your unit was getting, like, under fire, I would go, hey, we'll try to make it. We don't try, we do it, right? And I was told that by a colonel, not by Yoda. I was told that by a full colonel who became a 2-star general later. There is no try. We're not trying. You don't try to get a hold of someone. You get a hold of them. You don't try to do something. We do it. If you're trying, you're losing. All right. So we actually do it or we don't do it. That's what we're saying. Okay. And so when I got started here, I wanted to quit a couple of times. I'm like, you can't quit. You haven't even done anything yet. And then I went to the convention and I saw all these people that were like, in my mind, I was like totally, just being arrogant, I was totally like way more squared away than they were, right? In other words, they hadn't done all these things I'd done in my estimation. Like, they hadn't been military officer, football, all these different things I've seen, and you know what, and all that's like my own ego, whatever, but we all have an ego, it doesn't matter who you are. I figured, you know what, if these people are doing it, I can totally do this. And so I went back. Didn't have a great month. It was in the summer, but I went to the convention and I went to every single event. I had like 2 people in my downline that went to the convention. but I went to everything. I was in my shorts and t-shirt, I'm a golf shirt and shorts. I was not going to have a suit on because, whatever. I probably didn't even own one, I don't think, is at the time, be the truthful. And so all my suits were military uniforms. And so I went to the convention. I went to every single training. I learned everything so I could talk about every single part of the company if I had to. Now, is that the best way to do it? Probably not. But I built belief about everything, and I got such solid belief, no one could ever shake me. I would always find a way to make it work. That's my attitude, is always find a way to make it work. If you don't believe that RX has the best products in the world, and if you think there's anything negative about RX, then you're crippling yourself right now. RX is exactly where it is right now, and it's the best opportunity in the world. And you have to be like that.
What should those people do? Like those who still have those hesitations, these like little bugs in their mind, like what should they do?
Get over it. Like if you have to go somewhere, that's why you got to go to the convention. That's why you got to jump on the webinars. That's why you got to get into all of this stuff, because you got to get past. Some people are like, oh, we need a funnel to build the business. Really? A funnel? I got a funnel. I'll pour something down your throat. You know what I mean? Like you don't need a funnel. You need to get your butt calling people and talking to people. Do you have to do more work right now without all the great tools and fancy websites and everything? Yep. But you know what? It's all in your approach. If you doubt anything for a minute, everyone senses it, and they're not going to join you. All right? It ain't going to happen. All right?
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because many people, even on the team, they see that I'm working, I'm putting funnels together, but I've been doing that recently. I haven't done that for 3 years. And but even while I'm doing it, I'm prospecting. Like I'm not waiting for those things to be there. I'm doing it now while I'm building those things, because I know these things will be helping me, make it easier. But in the meantime, I got to make things happen.
Yeah, a lot of people believe you don't need to talk to anybody anymore and all that stuff. Like I use the internet. Like when we started, so in 5 years, I ended up being in the, probably a little over 5 years, I ended up being in the $1 Million Club at USANA. In 2003, I quit my job. I had made so I went and I just kept going. And then I got rid of all the gift baskets. I got rid of all my different distractions. And I did it strategically. So as I made more money, I would say, okay, I got to get rid of this. I didn't quit my job when I made my first $1,000. That's so stupid. So many people screw up in network marketing by trying to go full-time too fast. They listened to somebody that went to the convention. I was making 20 grand my first month. I've heard those stories, but that's not me. I don't know how to do that. And there's always another story behind those people. And so what I did is basically get little successes. And I got better at talking to people. And when I gave up, what's that?
I'm sorry. So you went from small to millionaire, but in between, was there like a moment, something that happened? What was that thing that?
The moment was seeing my kids going to daycare, wife working, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's some daycare for like $7 an hour, and I had this vehicle right in front of me, and I was totally blowing it. So what happened to me is I said, you know what, I'm making this happen. And so then I was much more convincing on the phone. Then I was much more like, hey, Stefan, I need you to put 2 people on the phone with me today. I've got someone that's coming into the business. Do you have anybody you're working on? Yes. All right, call that person and tell them I will put someone in their team right now if they get started today. And so like I talk like that, right? Like when someone had watched a video and they would say, well, I don't think it's really for me. I said, what part of it's not for you? Exactly what part? Because what are you doing right now that's so much better than creating residual income, helping people, actually getting yourself in shape? What are you doing that's like better than those things, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, what are you going to do? I was like, you're not going to, you work in corporate America, it totally sucks, and you know it does. And I work there, I know it sucks. I'm getting out of that. Do you want to come with me? So I'm talking like that, right? Sorry, someone's showering over there.
That's conviction.
That's a convincing mindset, right? It's not like trying to convince and strong arm, but it's belief, right? And so then I became driving to work, talking to my upline, talking to prospects. Wake up in the morning, go work out with some kind of motivational, some kind of like mindset thing about network marketing, building more belief about it, right? Doesn't matter what it is, get it in your head. But just don't go off to some gypsy camp because you listen to some guru, all right? Stay focused. A lot of people listen to personal development and they get sidetracked and now they're doing, I'm going to be a sales trainer. Oh, you're an idiot. Get your butt back into network marketing. That's where the best money is for everybody. And I know all the trainers. I've met every single one of them over the years. And very few of them have a lifestyle that I would say, yeah, that's an awesome lifestyle. No, they need a network marketing business, and so do all of you. So you have it. And, this is really the molding. And then in here, I got better. I got hung up on, I got yelled at, I got told I was a scammer. Just imagine, Army captain getting told you're a scammer. I was like, really? What did you do for your country, you loser? I mean, that was like what I was thinking to myself, but that doesn't work, right? But that was my mentality. And,
Did you feel you did something that helped you make it easier? Did you learn
I learned how to talk to people, and I just talk to people like I would talk to you if you came to my house, right? Don't make it big. Like inviting formula and all that, you guys know these things now. We didn't really have that formula. I was just good at getting someone to like tell me about themselves and then ask them questions and say, man, why don't you, let's get started in this, and when someone watched the video, I always ask them to get started. So, hey, it sounds like you're ready to get started. Even if they weren't, right? Oh, well, no, I'm not sure. Then they would flesh out their objections. Oh, so, okay, great. Well, we'll fix that. Oh, don't worry about that. We'll work on that. Man, like this is going to be so exciting working with you. I was painting the picture for them, always, right? That's the same thing I did my first year in RX. Painted the picture for everybody, where we're going, what we're doing. It wasn't even in existence. We're getting brands. We're going to have multiple divisions. We don't even know. We just knew that's where we're going. We're going to have the Founders Club. We're going to have this.
And so once you were... Once you got one person signed up, were you immediately working with them, with their people? We're trying to duplicate...
No, I was too stupid at the time to know that, right? My guys trained, we were the first internet team. I don't care what anybody says. We were the first internet team. The only difference is we didn't make ourselves into gurus. We actually did marketing. We would draw in leads, and then we would basically take them through like education about residual income, our team, and then we would introduce them to our company. We never went company first and all that because it didn't work as well. We didn't advertise our company because it didn't work as well. It gave away, it's kind of like we gave away everything at the start, and then people would just Google you and figure out what you're doing. So we always went with like some kind of a thing, just kind of like you guys were doing in Limitless, right? With that, so you were going to lead with and then show how what we do now takes advantage of these things. So then so my big thing is I got over people. I was too worried about what everyone thought. So that first year that I made $38, whatever, then 9/11 happened. But I still could make checks every week, even after 9/11. Okay, totally did. And I had a week where I made about $1,200. I fired my wife after about 3 days of working, and my kid came on with that RSV thing where they're like wheezing like a seal. And I was like, you're not going to that daycare. You're fired. You're not going back there. Never going back. Well, I had to put in a notice. I was like, you don't need a notice. The notice is, see ya. Like, that's it. You're done. And so I started making, I was like, I don't care about some daycare. What do you put on your resume? Who cares, right? So I was like, tell them we're out of there. And so basically, okay, hold on. So basically, I ended up, doing well, winning cruises and all of those things. Hold on one sec. And sure. So I started winning cruises, and those were like building beliefs, right? After my first convention, I came back and I was like a gold director, which means you're making about $50,000. Meanwhile, I have a job. I still have a job in corporate America, but I started so I went to the company things, and I was always working on the business. So, part-time, but I was full-time thinking about it. Even when I was at work as a corporate manager, I wasn't trying to go up the chain at Dell. I was just kind of staying there, and I moved around in like different operations supervisor roles in this big factory. I moved around to those. I knew the whole area. I knew how to run the whole thing, but I didn't go to the next level. So I was like, I don't want to go to the next level and then be more pressure at work, all these things. No way. I know where I'm going, and I treated my job at Dell like my dad told me, like, you're basically like an actor waiting tables, right? Actor waits tables so they can have their big break. My big break was network marketing. And so, I started taking my family on vacations, and, and this is what, like this picture here, I'm still a manager at Dell Computer, right? Okay. Right here, Caymans, 2000, actually this was the first one. Oh, there's another cruise. That's actually, we didn't have Tyler then. We just had Samantha. So there's a cruise like 2003 or 2, completely took everyone, like all my family, my mom, I won.
About 2 years, right?
Yeah. So 2 years, we won 5 cruises. Like, wow, I had to like go figure out how to like get time off of Dell, And so, and then I'm winning awards, and like the #1 income earner of the company's there. And she's like won the most cruises, and they're like, and for second place, silver director Steve Swartz. Like silver director was like nothing. And I was like, what? And they're like, who is that? You know, I'm like, I'm like, hi, And so I was just good at recruiting people into the business at that point. And then, I didn't know a lot about duplication, but I think duplication is a mystery that is not always easily solved, and very few companies have it, really. And we always want it. But duplication can be hard work, getting skills trained, getting people results on products. It can be a little bit like that. And then, eventually there can be things that really fastly duplicate. But, companies go into momentum. I remember I was at the 7-figure income thing with Eric Worre a couple months ago. And he says, most companies go into momentum for about 9 months, and then that's pretty much it, right? So, momentum is awesome and all that, but, I want a steadily growing business that always is going into, growth mode. And that's what we designed here with RX because of the different brands. So different opportunities. And then, we happen to be working with Tim Sales, who has a different marketing campaigns coming that are going to be great for us. But in the meantime, we still got a great opportunity. We still have a lot of stuff to share. So if you're sitting on your haunches, you're basically, letting the Founders Club slip between, fingers, right? Right now. So I wouldn't do that. I would get moving, find a reason to get going. So basically over time, I built USANA. I met Tim Sales because I liked his professional training.
Tell me about this duplication thing. Like, you've built a large organization and you say duplication is like a myth. So how did you build a team like that if you didn't really focus on duplication? What did you do?
It's pretty simple, all right? People are what join your business, not numbers, okay? So people, you find someone in the legs you're working with that you want to work with, and you do whatever it takes to help them be successful. That means when they make a rank advancement, you fly to California when you live in Texas, and they make a good rank advancement, not just like, one little one, they make something significant. You go, and you and your leaders go fly there and you meet with them and you build a relationship with that person. And you take them out and you take them out places and you pay for stuff for them. That's what I did. So I was about building relationships. And our team had some of the best relationships, even though we weren't always local because of the webinars. Because we didn't have webinars, but conference calls, because of constant always on the telephone with them. And we talked more than people that lived in the same city building it in other ways. And so to me, I found the legs I figured out that you have these different legs, and in each leg of your business, you needed someone that was like going to be a full-time income earner. So I tried to find those people, and the people that I figured out were the ones that would actually had a good attitude, and they wanted to work, and they did the work. They weren't just a bunch of whiners. I hung out with a bunch of whiners for a couple of years, and it drove me crazy, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand what I was doing because I figured everybody was just going to make it happen. But what was happening is they were dragging me down big time. And so I was kind of oscillating. My income, I was full-time at this point, but I was kind of not going forward, but I was kind of maintaining, but you don't really maintain. And I remember I was working with all these ladies that were just, it wasn't just ladies, but there was a couple guys too, and they really weren't doing much. And they were causing a lot of drama. And, they would call me up and tell me what I wasn't doing right, and I was trying to be good, and I wasn't used to this kind of feedback, people telling me, what's up and all these things. And I was like, you know what? And I went back to my military. I was like, if you were in the military, not that we would just strike you down like some military rank thing, but we wouldn't listen to one of your excuses. We would be like, you need to just shut up and go to work, or get. Sounds like I'm not for you. You know what I mean? Maybe you need to go do something different. And so I kind of cut myself away from all these people. They actually joined another company and thought they were going to become rich, which most of them all quit that one too. But when I let go of that drama, of those drama people and all the drama with that, I started making a lot more money because I just got focused. I got rid of the drama and I got into action, and I was like, I'm going to show people what's up. And then I made Emerald Director, which was pretty tough to make, and that's about $4,500 a week. When I quit my job in 2003, I had made Ruby. We had a baby, and I quit my job. It's kind of and we bought a house. It's kind of a weird scenario, but that's what I did. And Ruby's about 25. I was making my checks those weeks for about $4,000 a week. Meanwhile, trust me, I had a job. Okay, So I'm building this type of income. I started looking at my income on a weekly basis going, man, like it's kind of dumb to have this job, but we had insurance with the babies, and I was like, I'll just keep that. And and I went on maternity leave, making no money, and I just kind of ran it all the way, of course, and then I went back to Dell and gave them my badge. I didn't do something like, I'm quitting. I didn't do none of that. I said, hey, guys, I'm gone. And so that was it. And so then I was full-time.
So tell me about this thing. You've got your line, it's growing, and then you find your person that you're going to lock arms with and help them build. But until you get to that person,
it's you.
Like, is it, to me, my answer would be...
Hey, you got some people, then I started getting smart. I was like, hey, these people don't know people. Let's get them to start getting some people that they know to come in as customers and business builders. So it started growing like that, right? And so it started doing
yourself. You're just out there, you're showing example, you're leading by example.
Yeah, I was still signing up like 80 people in a year, 50 people in a year, because I wanted to set the pace. And oftentimes it's not the people you enroll. I had a few people that I enrolled that became like full-time income earners, but most of them were from somebody else. Matter of fact, when my whole team, that whole group that I had shifted and went to some other company, they had signed up one person who ended up becoming my #1 income earner. And the only thing that happened was I called that guy. I had been talking to that guy, and then I was worried because his upline, the guy who sponsored, like the guy that he had signed up with, which he had signed up with off the guy, he didn't know him previously. I thought, man, are you going to go with? He's like, no way, I'm not like that. I was like, good. You really want to work with me? He goes, yeah. So I go, starts tomorrow morning. I'll call you. And so I called him, woke him up. I said, man, this is what you got to do. Bam, bam. Bring people to me on the phone. Here's I put it in. I was just like that. And he started doing it. And he had been working with someone that had been bringing him to the phone and getting nowhere. First person he brings to me, we sign him up with basically like an elite pack, right? I was like, he's like, oh my gosh. I was like, yeah, keep doing this. He's like, all right. So I fired him up. And that guy, I just started building a relationship. I liked him. He was sports-minded. He had a great attitude, Ivy League educated, talented, spoke Chinese. I mean, both dialects. So when you find people like that, you invest in them, right? So when you just try to get people to come in off your website and sign up and never talk to those people, your business is going to be the biggest loser business in the world because you're not going to have relationships. They're all going to leave you. And so, you're going to have ups and downs and disappointments, but I was focused. My attitude was, everybody can quit. I'm still doing it. I don't care. Right?
You said something. You said you were recruiting like 50 people a year. A lot of people on this webinar, they're listening and they're thinking, gosh, I haven't sponsored 50 people in 10 years. How did
I didn't either, but I figured out that if I had like one a week come into the business, then I would be pretty consistent. I didn't know what that meant, but I was recruiting. Listen, right now, if your business has no business builders in it, you can keep getting customers, and that's awesome, and you should. But you need to start promoting the business first, product second if you have no business builders. If you have nobody in your team that's actually money-driven, because the money-driven people, just letting you know, drive your network marketing business. Just letting you know, okay? The people that want to make more money are the ones that are going to drive your business, okay? I didn't sign up at network marketing for vitamins. I didn't even take vitamins.
Yeah.
But I found out the value of vitamins. I found out the value of all that by listening to Dr. Strand, listening to different things, and getting educated. But I was money hungry. I was hungry to make income, all right? And I wasn't stupid that I knew a residual income starts smaller. So I wasn't dumb to say, well, how come you haven't paid me $1,000 yet? I was working with somebody that was already making a few $100,000 a year, and $300,000, matter of fact, and used to be a baker. I mean, I worked in a bakery. Man, a bakery. $300,000? I was like, man, I'm doing what you're doing. And so I would just learn. I would bring three-way calls, and I would shut up, and I would write everything down he says. And then I became good at what he was saying.
And we have that training.
What?
Like, we're lucky because we have that training, like, right up front. You don't have to wait a couple of weeks.
Business to advance, start putting Stefan Page on the phone with your prospects. Start putting, Arlene. Start putting your upline on the phone with your prospects, and just shut up and let it happen. All right? And give them a heads up of what they need to talk about. Hey, Stefan, this gentleman here, blah, 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 blah. I need you to talk to him. Boom. Three-way calls. If you haven't done any three-way calls, in the last month, then you're not going to be making it happen. Okay? And if someone told you three-way calls are no good, ask them to see their check, okay? Because there's a lot of experts on the internet, and they don't make a damn dollar in network marketing, and they all are experts, right? No way. You need to use the phone, and you need to put it to use. You can text to get messages, yes, but you need to be on the phone talking to people. I learned that you can't do the business by yourself. I tried, it didn't work. So I had to bring people into play, all right? And then, so I got good at this. I was making $20,000 a month part-time, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, but my part-time was better than everyone else's full-time. Because of my belief, because you couldn't throw me off, you couldn't tell me one bad thing about my company. I didn't, even if it was true, I didn't believe you, and I didn't care.
And you were dreaming, breathing your company.
Yeah, but I wasn't running around going, try these vitamins.
Hmm.
Are you kidding? Like, people would be pissed at you if you're doing that, you know? Like, I was like learning. I would meet Stefan. Hey, Stefan, what do you do? You're like, man, I run a rental business. Rental business, like what kind? Like houses? No, like, learn about it. I was like, oh my gosh, like, so you like to make more money? He's like, you like earning money? I was like, well, have you ever thought about earning money outside of doing that? Why not? And you can tell me yes or no. I don't care what you say, right? I don't care. If you say no, I say, no problem, man. Hey, it's nice meeting you.
The difference.
I didn't chase people around, but I did do follow-up, but I never chased people around. I did do multiple follow-ups. Someone didn't answer. I'd say, hey, man, I was just calling you. I'm actually looking at this conference call. We just got this new video out, man. I was thinking about you the other day. So I would find reasons to call the person. So there was a perfect, everyone wants, what's my follow-up sequence? The one that you'll actually freaking follow up with, right? Right? Oh, how many times do I call them? Call them till they say, don't ever call me again. There you go. That's a little rough. Yeah, well, you know what? What's rougher? You sitting at your house by yourself doing nothing? Get your butt on the phone. Every one of you has leads. And so start talking to people, but learn about them. Like, don't be so, like, you hear me being pretty, like, assertive, right? But what I'm saying to you is, you gotta get down on where everyone's assertiveness level is to the person's level, right? You gotta know. And I know all the communication qualities, right? I know all the inviting formula. I can teach it to you. I know all of it, right? But I'm doing it too.
But the one thing I can see, and very often when people are here listening to this, and it's building your belief up so that you can talk to more prospects confidently, and quite frankly, what you did to reach that is a number of people. The only difference between every one of us here is the number of people they expose the information to. That's it.
Oh, I didn't talk to 50 and got 50. Are you mad crazy? I talked to thousands, and you weren't willing to do that at the time. I was. Not you, but just the people. I had people join. There's a guy who joined right above me, and I was supposed to learn from him. I called him. He didn't know a damn thing. I was like, forget it. So I just went to the guy above him, and I said, what do I do to make this work? He says, here's what you got to do. And whatever advice it was, I started doing it, right? And then I got good by listening to him. I got on 3 ways. I could start talking like him, right? And he's the one that built the business. I mean, he's the one. The dude in Lehigh, Utah, man. But I was on the phone with him. When I was coming off work late at night, he was a late owl. He was a night owl. I would call him and say, hey, man, what's up? How's it going? What are you working on? I had to stay engaged. I didn't listen to the radio for an hour and get depressed about the news. It didn't do me any good. I didn't watch TV. I didn't watch football games. My friends that were in the Army, even that I met from the Army or even at Dell Computer, the guys that were quote-unquote my acquaintances or whatever there, let's get together on Saturday. I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be busy. Basically, I would be busy doing something that's not sitting around talking to you at my house for no reason, right? Like, oh, yeah, it's called being social. I'm like, forget it. I don't want you to come over and watch a football game with me. And I love football, but it's not making me any money. I'm not doing it. So I started weaning myself away from all the people that weren't on the same path as me because they talked different, they thought different, they were not feeding where I was going, all right? And, then I started getting some, people wanted me to become a trainer. Jeff Combs, who wanted me to go train with him. And I was like, I don't want to be a trainer. I understand I've got a really good residual. I just want to make it bigger and better, and I want to start training people better with. And so I met Tim Sales, and he ended up telling me to move to Florida after, well, I got him into the USANA people, like they started like, Fred and Mark and all those guys, and he started, well, I mean, that sounds kind of crazy. I mean, I had him come watch him, and then they're like, yeah. So then he started, I mean, it's Tim Sales. He's his own guy. He doesn't really need me. All I did is an introduction. And so I was training with Tim, becoming friends, and there's a thing about getting to know people that are quote unquote gurus. I mean, there's a point where, you can be an asset to them, a lot of people just like to take, and don't want to give. And so people like to take from you. People will tell me the secrets, Steve, but what am I giving you? And I don't mind it, right? But like, think about it. So with Tim, I was like, well, how can I add value to this guy? Because so I said, well, you know what? Let me see if I can get you into the, I love your training. I'm going to introduce you to USANA, right? I didn't have to do that, but that was valuable to him for his training business. So then he started getting to know all those guys, and he started coming to the conventions for USANA, the regional events, the conventions. He was like a smashing hit. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so it was at one of those events in Florida that he says, why don't you just move to Florida? And I was like, okay. So I took my whole family and we moved to Florida. We lived on this beach in Clearwater Beach. This is us like working out. This is us making fun of lifeguards, running on the hard sand. This is Browser, Tim's dog, and we were workout buddies. And I'm still in USANA at this point. Tim's he's retired from MLM and he's trading stocks and doing all those things, and I became really good friends with him, right? And so, a few years later, we were able to start basically on accident RX. I mean, in a major way, right? We basically decided to do that, and we introduced Mark Wilson to the product. We thought USANA was going to do it. They didn't do it, and that was their own thing. Tim had moved over there to start working on a division for them, and ultimately didn't happen. And other things happened, and they ended up getting together with the guys from Mark, Fred, Jeff, Riley, and then through one of my contacts who tried to recruit Tim into some other thing, they got on the phone with Tim, and then Deanna happened to be in that room, and that's how Deanna got on the phone with Tim, and Tim was able to get Deanna. So that's how RX. And so when RX was starting, I was like, man, I'm going to risk a $250,000 residual income. Tim, are you really doing this? He's like, yep. I was like, okay. And when the guys came out, I was like, forget it, I'm doing it. And so I put my income at risk, did not recruit people from USANA, did not bring people over. I didn't even know who Stephanie Page was. Who's Stephanie Page? The heck is that? And then, right? And so people were calling me to sign up and I was like, dude, I can't sign you up in this business. Get away from me. I forget it. So I started doing advertising, and I talked to this time I brought all my friends into RX, as many as I could. And I started working with Stephanie Page, and then I learned his name was Stefan Page. And we were just we were scrapping from the start, and we were just making it happen. And, they talked about Founders Club and all these different things, but basically, we were able to do all these things. And, when I was working on all this, new leaders would come into the company. And I was like, man, this he's way better than me. Like, he has way more experience. He's made hundreds of thousands, way more than me in network marketing. Man, he's going to become a founder. I'm going to get smoked. I mean, this is what I was thinking. So I was like, forget it. I'm going to keep calling. I had to I can't even talk that great. I mean, I had to get back and get into work. Because, guys, I was pretty much retired. If you want to know, the kind of business you're building with RX, it's one of those types of businesses that's going to have that reoccurring income big time. If you build it the right way with leaders, you work with people, but the results that people get with the brands and the products in those brands, that creates residuals, all right? It's not just Slender Rush. You got to get everyone on the rest of the products, and they have life-changing events happen to them, and that's the emotional attachment. That's why people get distracted with these different things coming out. I don't care. I'll mention them, Doobly and these different companies and all these things, and their products aren't that great, but they have flashy marketing, so they look better, or they have no products, and they think that's smart. That's the dumbest thing you can ever get involved in. I don't care if you make 10 grand in the first month. It's going to be a travesty what's going to happen to you. We've seen it all over the last couple of years, all the different networks and all the different things that have come out, and all these things that were popular, and they're no longer here, and or they're not that impactful. And so don't get swayed by that stuff. You've got the most solid foundation company ever created in network marketing history. It's here. We're not paying people to join. We're not swinging downlines over and paying those people to join, which happens. And because you have that foundation. What's that?
And that thing, that residual income, it's the greatest thing. Like me, I used to be working with, I've had multiple businesses with my family. My father had 60 stores where we were renting snowmobiles and boats and ATVs and what?
60 stores?
Yeah, 60 stores. And so you can imagine like the amount, the overhead, the employees, the capital investment, the stress, like all the things going on. And then you work, and then there's, the weather is not so great, and then everything is at risk. Like every single day you start all over again. You make a good month or a good week, it's great, but next week you start all over again. But network marketing, that's the fun thing. I mean, we talk about this, but it's true. Like you wake up Saturday morning and you've already got volume for your week. Like you know what's going to happen. It's there. Yeah. Like this is the lifestyle. Like I look at your pictures, man. This is the life that we all.
Dude, trust me, you saw when we started RX. I had my $700 weeks. I had my $500 weeks a couple times. I was like, man, this has got to pick up a little bit, But but it wasn't for lack of trying, right? A lack of effort, right? A lack of not trying, but actually doing it. We were still making the calls. We were still doing all this. These are all pictures from basically. I left this house in Park City.
You kept the vision. Like even when you were making the smaller checks, you kept on the vision. And what kept you there? Like was it your goals? Was it going to the events? Like it's all of those things combined.
We're not going to fail. This is going to be big, the biggest company in history of the industry. No problem. It's going to be, right? And
you don't want to miss it.
Get all of our stuff in line. We're going to get everything going. But what RX did initially is they put money into the foundation of the company and expanded into some major countries that normally you can't even get into. So they put and also spending a lot of money on making the most incredible products on the market. Like my previous company, they still sell calcium carbonate. Well, we know that's not even very good for people, but they don't change. I don't know why they don't change. They don't change. And we have like our calcium product is like so cutting edge. I don't even think anybody has one like it. And that's just one of our products. But when you start to know these things, then when someone gives you objections or whatever, you say, you know what, may not, sounds like it's a pyramid to you. Okay, no problem, whatever, like I'm not even going to fight with you about that. I'm sorry you feel that way. But you know what, man, you may want to try these products. I mean, do you take calcium? Do you take any supplements now? Yeah, or whatever. Or you know what, man, like, I know you're going to the gym a lot. What are you trying to do? I just want to lose 20 pounds. Like, listen, I've got something that you got to see. And then so I will do that. Meanwhile, they're not joining the business. Who cares? They're going to buy the products. All right? So, hey, I understand, you're not interested in the business. It sounds like the business isn't for you. So if someone really goes negative like that, whatever, you say, you know what? Hey, I completely understand. No problem. It sounds like the business isn't for you. But you know what? You may want to try these products because, is there anything in your own health you'd like to improve? And like, well, nothing. I was like, really, really, dude, you're in like the most top shape ever. Well, actually, I've got high blood pressure. I said, okay, I'm going to send you a report by this doctor on high blood pressure, which covers some products. I can get those products to you once you watch it. You want to watch it? Will you watch it? Will you read it if I send it to you? Okay, when will you read it? Bam, close to action, right? And so then I'll call them back and say, hey, did you get that report? No, I didn't get it. It's not. Okay, I'm going to send it to you right now. Check your email.
So it's one person at a time. That's it.
What are you going to do? Machine gun them down? You get one at a time, man.
And don't miss the boat, guys. Like, this is it. This is...
So I'm thankful for a lot of those people that actually didn't stay with RX in the beginning because you know what? They let some average guy like me make the Founders Club. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. I mean, that's what I look at it. Like, whatever.
Steve, we've been going on for an hour now, and we've got an amazing story. And you brought in so many great points. Guys, if you could type something in the chat box that got you, like one of those things that Steve talked about, love to read those. But come on, let's see what you guys keep from this webinar today? What did you learn? What was the thing? Brian says, don't stop. I'm taking notes like crazy. Michael says, his energy and belief, and just do it. I love
you can
this.
bring me any network marketing company. I will destroy it. There's no problem. I don't care, even if they think they're great.
Marty says, total faith in the business.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep interrupting you, Steve. I want to, get people going. No
There's not a better company. Which one? Miriam? Are you crazy? I wouldn't put that on my dog, okay? So forget it. All right? Jeunesse, that's like putting, forget it. Even if there's a product there that's pretty good or whatever, RX will completely smoke it at some point. I don't even care. So what they don't have is we're not playing games with people and inviting and inserting them into the business 20 times. We're not paying people to join. We're not giving you a bonus because you joined. So when these leaders tout how great their companies are, but they've been paid 25 grand or 200 grand or even bigger, they're not joining the same opportunity you're joining. So don't even pretend. All right? Tim Sales and I signed up just like everybody else did.
So I've got more comments. He says, keep moving. Love his attitude. Steve says he does multiple follow-ups. Find reasons to call them, leave messages. Call them till they say, don't call me ever again.
They call you and say, what are you calling me? Right? Just do that. Get that one a couple times. You're like, man, I'm doing a pretty good job. At least I know where they're at.
Christian says having the energy that Steve has is the key to making it.
Yeah, it is actually the key. It's the right attitude, and that's the attitude that believes that it's going to work. You know what? And someone says, ask you a question, you're like, you know what? I don't really know, dude, but it doesn't matter. What are you doing to create residual income? What's your answer? I don't have any. Well then, dude, what are you waiting on, man? This thing's like $700, $1,250 most to get into this thing. Let's go.
All right. Alan says Steve's belief in RX is tops, and he makes us believe with his enthusiasm.
Good.
And Steve is such a cutie. Who says that?
Someone who's blind. I don't have no idea.
Then Karen says ADHD, when harnessed, is a phenomenal trait in someone in MLM. Steve is all over the place and is focused on getting it done.
I'm pulling resources. I can focus on more than one thing for sure. Some people say 80. I don't know. I never. What I am is ATT all the time. All right. Right? AT&T, baby, all the time. That's what you got to be like. But you can't be aggressive and annoying to someone and be like, but you should sign up. You sound like a wimp. No one wants to sign up with that. That's wussy. That's wimpy. Right? You got to be better than that. Right? Talk to someone like you'd like to be talked to.
Teresa says, great idea getting to know personally your new hardworking members.
If
awesome.
Someone is enrolling people in your downline and you don't know about it, and that's in a leg that you need attention, you better become their best friend. Guys, every day, you don't know who I talk to? I talk to Stefan almost every day. He doesn't even need my help, but I bounce things off with him, right? I talk to Woodson Gardner all the time. But she's their own leader. But I'm building a relationship with her. She brings a leader to Utah that wants to look at the people. Even I go there and I meet them. What am I doing? Building the relationship. Why did I go to Netherlands? John Licardi's in my downline. I didn't sponsor him, but he's in my organization. All the Netherlands is in my organization. I'm going to go over there and build the relationship. Who did I talk to today on the phone? John Licardi. Who do I talk to every single day? Sandra Miskimen. Who was the top recruiter in the whole company? Not me, Sandra Miskimen. Yeah. Who was the second? Christy Oki. Well, I didn't have much to do with that. Woodson did. I had nothing to do with that. Woodson did that. Okay? Both of them are in pay lines in my organization. All right? So, you work with people that, you build a relationship. Sometimes they don't need as much help, so you pull back. There's a lot of people that don't need my help in RX, right? So, for me to go and, get down underneath all these Stefan and get into all his people, that's not what you do. You build a relationship, you get people solid in their organizations, and you get people into multiple six-figure incomes, and if they want to take it further than that, they can take it, but they're not going to need your help other than strategic things. So that's what you're really doing. I'm building 4 income positions. When 4 income positions are optimizing, Steve Swartz is going to be making some pretty good income. But to do that, some other people have to be making some pretty good income. Okay? 4 income positions, by the way, it's 8,000 base commissions and about 6,000 income position bonus, and then matching bonus is probably about 3,000-4,000 at that point, and that's every single week. So, that's there. And so if you're working on your savings bonus, find a reason to tell someone about something. If you got $200 put in your savings bonus, say, man, I'm the saving bonus. When I get to 10 grand, I'm going to get paid out $10,000. Yeah, it's incredible. I just got to put $200 more in it as it's building right now. You don't have to tell them it has 300.
Yeah.
Right? That savings bonus, dude, that's like so much for my little, this is so new, like so young. That check is like $14,000. But, you can't even see it down here. But that was my first savings bonus. We got started a little bit after we'd already been earning more than the 10,000, but they were able to start paying them out, and bam, I got paid 14 grand. Okay. And then everyone
got Brian says, please don't stop, or if you guys must stop, have a part 2 call with Steve in the very near future, please. Thank you. And Mary Kate was a top leader in another company before, and she says the things she remembers from this call today: posture, confidence, enthusiasm, and working it. Awesome.
Guys, you're working the best company in the industry, period. No one has a Bill of Rights, and that does matter. You know how many times I was on a council with the company. I was on their independent distributor council, all right? Straight up. Meaning I work with the corporate, all right, and the owners and all these people. I'm the field representative. So we would go through the whole year, go to the convention, and new compensation plan enhancements. I'm like, really? We didn't know about that. So we're at the audience going, is this good, or did I just get screwed? You know what I mean? And we just got screwed. But we had to pretend like we had this look in our face like, oh, yeah, it's really good. I think. But you had to put on a good, because people are watching you. You're like, oh, my gosh, we just got smoked. We had no input on that. I've actually, because the Founders Club, I've actually voted on, I had to vote on I actually had to vote just like Fred and Mark and all them on the, and you don't even have to know what you're talking about. That's a great thing. The cost of living increase, like to make that a possibility. I voted on that. If I would have said no way, and a couple other people said no way, I don't know why we would say that. It's kind of dumb. It was like a no-brainer, but we still voted on it. They took my vote, counting as equal to theirs. That's the Founders Club. And so Founders Club eventually will pay the different markets. You'll be at a good percentage of that market in a paycheck, in a dividend. So no one company has a Founders Club, and there's only 4 of us in it, and we're not even, we're pretty good, but you guys are probably better. Let's just go, get in it. Get in the one in your country. And this is fun. I always have fun in my business. Like, people say, well, we had to travel over to Europe. I'm like, travel over? Come on, we went to Amsterdam. We went around and had fun. We went to Belfast. That was incredible. Got a tour. Unbelievable. Went to Dublin. Went to London for a couple of days. Oh, so rough. And meanwhile, we're doing meetings and building the relationship. You're building the relationship in the business. And if you don't have relationships built in your organization with people, you're not going to have a business. You're going to have a paper thin, up today, gone tomorrow. Okay? That's why. And I would rather build those relationships with new people that don't know anything than some big leader who comes in, doesn't listen, and then, is gone tomorrow. We've been lucky where I've seen that happen, but I've also been lucky I've had a few people that didn't happen with, which is great, but you want to build those relationships. That's the bottom line. Even if you're all different types of people, you don't even have to like everything about the person. They don't have to like everything about me, whatever, but you build a relationship. That's your job in this business. That's what you get paid to as a leader. You're not a customer in this business, okay? You're a leader in the business. So, and if you want to know the numbers, it's pretty much you got to get to double digits a day, keep the paychecks on the way. So if you have 0 people you've talked to this week, get to 1 a day, 2 a day. Get it up to 5, and then 5, get it up to 10, 5 days a week. Life will change for you because you'll get better because you're talking to so many people. You're going to get better. You're going to figure out every time you say this, they hang up. Okay, let's not say that anymore. Or they give me this objection. Okay, let's fix that. It's pretty easy, guys. It's not that hard. I mean, what's hard is sitting, in corporate America wondering why you're there, right? That sucks. So,
yeah, it is.
Totally
Steve,
sucks.
thank you for joining us tonight. It's We really appreciate you joining and sharing all these, this great information. I think it helps people put perspective in place, and it's, we have access to the right training that shows you how to do it the right way. And now what you need is the attitude of let's do it, let's make it work, let's make it happen, and that's the key. So
people don't join RX, guys; they join you. Okay. So if you're wondering why they're not joining you. Okay? They're not joining. It's not RX. They could have some questions or whatever, but it's not RX. It's you. Okay? So that's it. So when someone says they want to do a funnel and all these things, I'm like, guys, you're still the common denominator there. They're going to sign up with you. Yes, would it be easier with a little flashy? Sure. But they're going to sign up with you, build a relationship, add value to their life. If they need something, get them some information on something. You know what? I remember you saying that about your kids. Don't become like, don't get into this long lost letters and learn all about their past life with their family. I mean, don't go crazy, but learn about the person and then add value to them. That's it. All right, Stefan, I'll shut up.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. And we'll definitely bring you on again. And guys, come on, register for convention. Make sure you don't miss that. We want to see you over there. Spend some time with all of us. Have a good time. Let's build our team. Let's have success. And the way to do it, take action. Don't accept any excuse. Make it happen. So, all right. Thank you, everyone.
If they're telling you no, then they're basically out convincing you, basically, right? Basically, they're winning it. They're outselling you. I mean, that's really what it is. So.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.